The night shift at the Halberd 9 Station Diner was always quiet, but this night felt colder than usual. The old lights above flickered softly, casting long shadows across metal floors. Mira, a young human woman with tired eyes and a gentle smile, wiped down the counter. Her apron was stained from another long day, but she didn't complain. She never did. Halberd-9 was a forgotten space station at the edge of the outer systems. Once a hub for trade, now it was just a rest stop for tired cargo pilots, outlaws, and those who had nowhere else to go. Mira was one of them. She had come here 2 years ago, escaping debt and searching for a new beginning. The pay was low, the hours long, but it was better than nothing. The clock on the wall ticked past 3 o'clock station time. Mira looked out the diner window. The metal corridor outside was nearly empty. A few cleaning bots rolled by, humming softly. Then something moved in the shadows near the trash bins. She blinked. Was it a rat? A cat? Halberd 9 had both, some brought by travelers, others born in the dark corners of the station. She leaned closer to the window. No, it was too big to be a rat, too slow to be a cat. Mira opened the side door cautiously and stepped outside. Cold recycled air hit her face. The hum of the station's life support systems buzzed through the walls. She walked slowly toward the bins. Then she saw him, a small boy, curled up behind the trash bins. His body was thin, his skin pale with a faint bluish tint, and his clothes were torn and dirty. He looked no older than 6. His short dark hair stuck to his forehead, and his eyes, big and silver, watched her with fear. Mira crouched down, careful not to move too fast. "Hey," she said softly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The boy didn't speak. He just stared. Mira noticed strange patterns on his skin, not bruises, not dirt, almost like circuits, faint lines glowing. Slightly under the skin, her heart beat faster. This wasn't an ordinary child. "Are you lost?" she asked, but again no answer. He flinched when she reached out, so she pulled back. "I'm Mira," she said gently. "You look cold. Come with me. I'll get you something warm." Still no words. But after a moment, the boy stood, slowly, weakly, and followed her back into the diner. Inside, Mira guided him to a booth in the corner and fetched a blanket from the storage room. She wrapped it around his shoulders and brought a bowl of hot sin soup, normally reserved for staff. The boy ate like he hadn't had food in days. Mira watched him, questions racing through her mind. Who was he? Why was he alone? What were those strange lights under his skin? She tried again. "Do you have a name?" He looked at her for a moment. Then softly he whispered, "Leo." That was all. Mira smiled. "Nice to meet you, Leo." What Mira didn't know was that hundreds of kilometers above Halberd 9, someone was watching her. From a secure satellite relay, a man sat in a dark room, eyes fixed on a screen. Cale Thorne, one of the most brilliant minds in human space, had more wealth than entire colonies. A single father, a weapons engineer, and a man on a mission. His son Leo had vanished 2 weeks ago. No one knew how. The security systems were hacked, the ship AI disabled, and Leo disappeared without a trace. Cale had used every tracker, every drone, every favor he could call in, and now at last, he had found him by accident on a diner camera feed from a forgotten space station. Cale leaned closer, watching Mira wrap the blanket around Leo. He expected many things. That his son would be mistreated, sold, hunted, even experimented on. But this woman, this poor waitress with nothing but a warm smile, had taken Leo in without asking who he was, without demanding anything. She had risked her job, maybe even her safety. He watched as she fetched more soup, brought water, and spoke to the boy with care. Cale's fists slowly unclenched. Back in the diner, Mira finished her shift and locked the doors. Leo sat quietly, the blanket still wrapped around him. "You can stay with me tonight," Mira said. "It's not much, just a small room, but it's warm." Leo nodded once. Mira smiled and led him through the back corridor, up 2 levels to her tiny cabin. It was little more than a bed, a sink, and a chair, but she made it feel like home. She let Leo take the bed and curled up in the chair herself. Before closing her eyes, she whispered, "You're safe now." Leo didn't answer, but his eyes slowly closed. For the first time in days, he slept peacefully above them, in orbit. Cale turned off the screen. He didn't contact the station. Not yet. Something told him to wait. He needed to know more about this woman who had taken in his son without question, who she was, why she had helped, and what kind of heart could still shine so brightly in the darkest corners of space. Cale leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. This wasn't over. It was just the beginning. Morning on Halberd 9 didn't bring sunshine or birds. It brought the low hum of generators, blinking red hallway lights, and the soft voice of the station AI announcing, "Cycle 41 complete. Oxygen stable." In her small cabin, Mira quietly got dressed. Her back ached from sleeping in the chair, but when she looked at Leo, still fast asleep on the bed, she smiled. The boy had barely moved all night. Now wrapped tightly in her blanket, he looked peaceful, his small chest rising and falling with steady breaths. His skin still glowed faintly, those strange blue circuit-like lines pulsing very softly. Mira didn't understand what he was, only knew he wasn't ordinary. But she didn't care. He was a child, lost, alone, and someone had to care for him. Mira returned to the diner before the breakfast rush. She sat up quietly, avoiding questions. Most people on Halberd 9 didn't ask much anyway. The station was filled with secrets, runaways, smugglers, outcasts. Everyone pretended not to see what they weren't supposed to, but some still noticed. That morning, Rule, the half-cybernetic maintenance man, leaned on the counter, sipping his black nutrient drink. "You look tired," he said. "Long night." Mira replied, forcing a small smile. "You got visitors last night." Mira paused. "What kind?" "Quiet ones. Someone scanned the corridor near your diner. High-grade tech. Not the usual street junk." Mira's heart skipped. "Maybe security patrol?" Rule shook his head. "Station security doesn't carry stealth scanners. Someone rich or dangerous, or both." She nodded slowly and returned to wiping the counter, but inside she was nervous. Had someone seen her with Leo? Meanwhile, Leo sat alone in Mira's room, holding a soft towel she had left with him. He didn't speak, but he remembered her kindness, the food, the warmth, her gentle voice. His memories were still broken like a shattered mirror. He could recall soft lights, a man's voice calling his name, something about protocols and protection. Then pain, darkness, cold. He looked at his hands. His palms still glowed slightly. He whispered a word under his breath. "Cale." But he didn't know who Cale was. On the other side of the system, Cale Thorne stared at his screens. He had watched the entire morning play out through a network of secret surveillance drones, quietly positioned around Halberd 9. His tech was undetectable to normal scans. Years ago, he had built this system to monitor black market weapon sales. Now it served a different purpose. His eyes focused on Mira. She worked with quiet strength, offering smiles to rude customers, cleaning every table herself, and fixing the broken coffee machine without a complaint. She wasn't pretending. Her kindness wasn't for show. Cale had seen lies before, on faces of politicians, CEOs, and even high-ranking officers. But Mira's expression was different. Her worry was real. Her care was real, and most important of all, Leo had responded to her. He played back the footage of Leo whispering her name before falling asleep. Cale leaned forward, deep in thought. This woman had reached his son in a way no one else had. Had to know more. Later that day, Mira returned to her cabin. carrying a small packet of food she had saved from the diner. "Leo," she said as she entered, "I brought something for you." But Leo wasn't in bed. Her eyes widened. "Leo?" A soft sound came from the corner. She rushed over and found him curled under the small table, shaking slightly. She knelt beside him. "What's wrong?" He looked up at her with wide, frightened eyes. He pointed to the wall. Mira followed his finger. There was nothing unusual, just the usual metal panels and a blinking air vent. Then she noticed one of the panels had moved slightly. Someone had been watching. She pulled Leo into her arms and held him tight. "You're safe," she whispered. "I promise. No one's going to take you." In the shadows, one of Kale's microdrones recorded everything. Kale frowned. His security drone had slipped too close. He didn't want to scare them. He instructed the drones to pull back, and for the first time, he considered something strange. Was he the threat now? He wanted to protect Leo, but what if the boy didn't remember him? What if forcing a reunion scared him? Kale had been thinking like a scientist, a problem to fix, a child to retrieve. But Leo wasn't just a system. He was a son, a person. Kale took a long breath. If he wanted to earn his child's trust again, maybe he needed to stop hiding behind machines. That evening, Mira sat with Leo, sharing the small meal she had brought. Leo was quiet but calm again. "Do you remember where you're from?" Mira asked gently. Leo paused. He blinked slowly, thinking. Sky, big room, blue light, Kale. Mira's eyebrows lifted. "Kale, is that someone you know?" Leo nodded, then pointed to his own chest. "Kale made me." Mira froze. Made? Was he created? She didn't understand, but the fear in her chest grew stronger. This boy was more than lost. He was part of something much bigger. Down in the lower maintenance levels of Halberd 9, word began to spread. A strange child with glowing skin had been seen. Whispers passed between dock workers and shady dealers. Some remembered stories of Project Seraph, a secret Earth experiment involving the E-human hybrids. One man, Jarn, a bounty scout working for underground tech syndicates, heard the rumor. His eyes narrowed. A glowing child on Halberd 9? That's no ordinary orphan. He sent a message to his employer. "Target may be on station. Will confirm soon. Prepare extraction." Back in Mira's room, Leo leaned against her shoulder. He was already half asleep again. Mira brushed his hair gently. "Don't worry," she whispered. "Whatever you are, whoever's looking for you, they'll have to go through me first." She didn't have weapons. She didn't have power. But she had something stronger, a promise, and Mira never broke her promises. High above, Kale watched. The night feeds. He saw Jarn's face on a smuggler camera. Kale recognized him at once. Syndicate, dangerous, ruthless, a hunter of living tech. His calm expression vanished. Mira and Leo were no longer just watched. They were being hunted. Kale stood up and typed one command into his system. Initiate direct contact. It was time to stop hiding. Mira walked into the diner early, just before the breakfast crowd arrived. She hadn't slept much. Leo had been restless in the night. He kept waking up, whispering in his sleep, calling for someone. Kale. She didn't know who Kale was. Maybe his father, maybe a scientist. But Mira was sure of one thing. Leo was in danger. The glowing lines on his skin weren't natural. And someone, somewhere was looking for him. She had to protect him. Across the station, Jarn, the bounty scout, prepared for his move. He stood in the shadows near the docking bay, speaking into a tiny piece. "The hybrid child is confirmed," he said. "Sending coordinates now." His contact replied, "You have 12 hours. Bring the child alive. No witnesses." Jarn smiled. Understood. He wasn't worried about the waitress. She would be easy to handle. Back in Mira's room, Leo sat, cross-legged on the floor, drawing patterns with a broken data stylus. He was quiet, but Myra noticed he kept glancing at the door. "Are you okay?" she asked. Leo paused. "They're close." Myra knelt beside him. "Who?" He pointed upward. "Bad people." Myra felt a chill. "How do you know?" "I feel them," he whispered. "Inside the wires. Like shadows." Myra didn't understand, but she believed him. "We'll be careful," she promised. "I'll take you to the diner with me today. You'll stay in the back room. No one will find you there." Leo nodded. Myra brought Leo through the quiet corridors, keeping him close. No one paid attention. The morning shift had just begun, and the halls were filled with tired miners and sleepy traders. Inside the diner, she made sure the back storage room was locked, and she gave Leo a snack and a small datapad with drawing apps. "Stay here," she said. "Don't open the door for anyone but me." Leo smiled faintly. "Okay." Myra returned to the main floor. She wiped tables, served customers, and tried to act normal. But her heart beat faster with every minute. Then the bell above the door rang. 3 men walked in. They looked like travelers, coats, gloves, dusty boots. But Myra noticed the shape under their jackets. Weapons. They sat in a corner booth. One of them, a tall man with silver eyes, scanned the room slowly. His gaze paused on the hallway that led to the back. Myra forced a smile and walked over. "Welcome. What can I get you?" The man looked up. "Just coffee, for now." His voice was cold. Too calm. Myra nodded and walked away, heart pounding. They were here for Leo. Up above, Cale sat in his ship, docked to the far side of Hubbard 9. He had arrived hours ago, but hadn't entered the station yet. He wanted to avoid attention. Now, watching the diner through his microcam, he saw the men enter. Jarn was among them. Cale's jaw clenched. "They're moving faster than I thought." He turned to his AI assistant. "Activate drone shield. Send Guardian 7 to Myra's location, quietly." In the back room, Leo looked up. The lights flickered. He tilted his head and whispered, "He's close." One of the men in the diner stood and walked toward the back hallway. Myra stepped in his way. "Restrooms are for customers only." The man smiled slightly. "I'm just looking around. You can sit back down." He leaned in close. "Move." Myra didn't move. The man sighed and reached for something inside his coat. Before he could pull it out, the window behind him shattered with a silent pulse. A small flying drone, sleek and silver, zipped through the air and hit him with a stun. "Charge." He dropped to the floor, convulsing. The diner exploded into panic. The other 2 men jumped to their feet, pulling out weapons. One aimed at Myra. "Where's the boy?" Before she could answer, the drone fired again, knocking 1 man out. The third tried to run, but the exit locked shut, sealed by remote override. Smoke filled the room. The AI-powered drone moved like lightning, stunning the last man. In moments, it was over. The customers ran out screaming, alarms blaring. Myra stood frozen, heart pounding, breathing hard. Then from the smoke, a man stepped in. Tall, dark jacket, gloves, eyes sharp and focused. He said nothing. He walked past Myra, straight to the back room. Myra followed, chest tight with fear. Inside the back room, Leo stood calmly. "Cale," he whispered. The man dropped to 1 knee. "Leo." Myra watched in silence as the boy stepped forward and hugged the man tightly. "I missed you," Leo said. Cale closed his eyes, holding his son. "I'm here now." Myra stood near the doorway, confused. "Who are you?" Cale stood slowly and turned to her. "My name is Cale Thorne. I'm Leo's father." Myra's breath caught. "You're the one he kept mentioning." Cale nodded. "I've been looking for him for weeks. He was taken by enemies of mine. I tracked him here, but I didn't expect him to bond with someone else." Myra felt a strange sadness in her chest. "Is he going with you now?" Cale looked at Leo, then at Myra. "Not yet. He's safe with you, You saved him. I owe you everything. Mira blinked, unsure what to say. Cale reached into his coat and handed her a small data chip. My personal contact. If you're ever in danger, use it, no matter where you are. She hesitated, then took it. Thank you, she said quietly. Cale looked at her again. You have a good heart, Mira. In this cold galaxy, that's rare. He turned to Leo. I'll be nearby, watching, when you're ready. Come home. Leo nodded. Cale gave him a soft smile, then stepped out through the smoke-filled diner, disappearing into the shadows. Later that night, Mira sat beside Leo, who was already asleep. She held the chip Cale had given her and stared at it. She had questions about Cale, about Leo, about what kind of life they were part of. But one thing was clear. Nothing was normal anymore. She wasn't just a waitress now. She was the guardian of something important, and danger was only beginning. After the sudden attack at the diner, rumors spread across the station. People whispered about flying drones, energy blasts, and strange men taken down without a sound. Most just wanted to stay out of trouble, but others, especially the ones who worked in the dark corners of the station, were curious. They wanted to know why 3 armed mercenaries had walked into a diner and left in stretchers. And more importantly, who they were after. Mira sat in her room, staring at the small data chip Cale had given her. The lights were dim. The room was quiet, except for the soft sound of Leo breathing as he slept on the bed. So much had changed in just a few days. He wasn't just a lost boy now. He was the son of a powerful man, a man with enemies, a man with technology and resources. Mira could hardly understand, but she didn't regret helping Leo. Not for a second. Still, she knew it wasn't safe anymore. Early the next morning, Mira packed a small bag with food, water capsules, and a first aid kit. She woke Leo gently. Time to go, sweetheart. Leo blinked, still sleepy. Where? Somewhere safe. We can't stay here. He nodded quietly. Mira took one last look at her small room. It had been her home, a place of quiet, of routine. But now it was dangerous. Staying would put Leo in harm's way. She wouldn't let that happen. They moved through service corridors, away from the main walkways. Mira had once helped clean the lower levels, so she knew the hidden paths. The air smelled like old metal and oil. Pipes hissed above their heads. The lights flickered. They were heading toward the underlevels, a place few people went. Dark, forgotten, dangerous. But it was also a place where no one would look. After nearly an hour of walking, Mira reached a heavy door. She knocked twice, paused, then knocked once more. A voice crackled from behind the panel. Go away. No visitors. It's Mira, she said. I brought you food last winter when you were sick. A pause. Then the door creaked open. Behind it stood a short man with thick goggles, oily hands, and a mechanical leg. Old Tech, a retired station miner who lived alone in the dark parts of Halberd 9. People said he had once worked in the asteroid mines near Mars, but no one knew for sure. Tech squinted at her. You again. I need shelter, just for a while, he frowned. You bring trouble? She hesitated, then stepped aside to reveal Leo. Tech's eyes widened. That's a child, he muttered. But not fully human, is he? He's special, Mira said quietly, and he's in danger. Tech stared for a moment, then grumbled. Fine, come in. But if someone shoots at me, I'm blaming you. Inside Tech's workshop, everything was dusty and crowded. Old tools, wires, and machines filled the space. Leo looked around curiously, but didn't touch anything. Tech handed Mira a warm drink. Talk, she explained everything. The diner, the strangers, the attack, Cale's visit, and the glowing marks on Leo's skin. When she finished, Tech leaned back in his chair and whistled. You've stepped into something big. You know what he is, don't you? Mira asked. Tech nodded slowly. I've heard stories. Years ago, Earth's black sector began a project. Secret stuff. AI mixed with human DNA. The idea was to build a child who could speak to machines, control systems, even rewrite software with thought alone. He looked at Leo. He's one of them, isn't he? Mira looked down at the boy. He's just a kid. Yes, but also something more. That's why they're hunting him. Meanwhile, Kale was tracking movement from his ship. His eye had picked up signs of a bounty signal deep inside the station. Someone scanning the underlevels. The eye said. Kale's face hardened. They're trying to find him again. He activated a hidden protocol and sent out a wide interference, field blocking enemy trackers. Then he opened a private channel. Mira, if you can hear me, you need to keep moving. They're not giving up. Back in Tech's workshop, Myra's pocket buzzed softly. She pulled out the data chip and activated it. Kale's message played through a small speaker. Keep him safe. They're coming. I'll meet you soon. Tech's eyebrows raised. So the father is involved. Mira stood. We need to move again. Tech nodded. There's a tunnel, old mining route. Leads to the core vents. No cameras. But dangerous. Can we make it? With care, Tech said. I'll guide you part of the way. They left within minutes. Down into the tunnels they went. Leo held Mira's hand tightly, but he didn't speak. The deeper they walked, the warmer the air became. Steam hissed from the walls. The floor was uneven. Suddenly, Leo stopped. What is it? Mira asked. He pointed forward. Someone's there. Tech pulled out an old sensor device. It beeped once, then again. Movement, 3 heat signatures. Mira pulled Leo close and stepped back. From the shadows ahead, a figure appeared. Not a bounty hunter this time. A woman in black armor with silver implants. Don't run, she said calmly. I'm not here to hurt you, Myra frowned. Who are you? My name is Celis. I work with Kale. Leo stepped forward. I know her. Celis smiled gently. Hello, Leo, you've grown. She looked at Mira. We've been watching. You've done more than we ever expected. Mira didn't reply. Celis continued. Kale asked me to take you both somewhere safe. We have a secure base off station, underground. You'll be protected there. Mira looked at Tech. He nodded slowly. Better than hiding in tunnels forever. She turned to Leo. What do you think? He looked up at her. I trust you. Mira smiled. Then let's go. As they walked through the tunnel with Celis leading the way, Mira couldn't help but feel a shift inside her. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was part of something far greater, a protector, a fighter. And she wasn't alone. The secret base was hidden deep below HALBERD-9. Cell is led Mira and Leo through a wide tunnel that opened into a quiet chamber. Smooth metal walls, soft lighting, and clean air. This place felt different from the rest of the station. It wasn't cold. It wasn't broken. It was safe. This is one of Kale's secure bunkers, Celis explained. No cameras, no signals in or out unless we allow it. Only Kale and a few trusted people know it exists. Mira looked around amazed. He built all of this? Celis nodded. Kale is not just rich. He's a genius and very careful. Leo touched the wall. It feels alive. Celis smiled gently. It's connected to his AI network. You'll feel it more as you recover. Mira sat down, finally letting her guard drop for a moment. It had been a long journey through danger, tunnels, fear, and now they were finally in a safe place. But questions still filled her mind. Later, as Leo slept in a soft bed for the first time in weeks, Mira sat in a quiet room with Celis. Tell me everything, she said. Who is Kale really? Why was Leo created? And why did you let him wander the station alone? Celis looked at her with calm eyes. You deserve the truth. She leaned back and began. Cale Thorne is one of Earth's top inventors. He designed sentient AI machines that could think, feel, and learn without limits. But the governments feared it, so he walked away from it all and built his own systems, private, secure, and untraceable. Mira listened closely, eyes fixed on Celis. A few years ago, Cale started a new project, Celis continued. He wanted to create something better, not just machines, but a new kind of life. A child born from both science and human love. His own DNA merged with advanced nanotechnology. And that child was Leo? Mira asked. Yes, Celis said. Leo is the only one, half human, half AI. Cale didn't build him to be a weapon. He built him to be a bridge, a connection between people and machines, a symbol of peace. Mira nodded slowly, understanding now why Leo could feel the wires, read the air, and sense danger before it came. But someone wanted to steal him, Mira guessed. Celis's eyes darkened. The Earth Syndicate. They believe Leo can unlock the codes to Cale's secret AI system. If they get that, they can control entire planets, fleets, even star stations. Mira whispered, "That's why they want him so badly." Celis looked straight at her. "And that's why Cale has risked everything to get him back." An hour later, Mira heard the sound of soft boots in the hallway. She turned and saw Cale enter the room. No cameras. No drones, just him. He looked different this time, less cold, less distant. His eyes were tired but kind. "Mira," he said. She stood. "You're here." He nodded and stepped closer. "I needed to see you, in person." They both sat down. The air between them was quiet, but heavy with thoughts. Cale looked down for a moment before speaking. "I wanted to thank you for everything. You protected my son when I couldn't. You fed him, cared for him, and gave him peace." Mira shook her head. "I didn't do much. I just couldn't leave him out there." Cale's eyes met hers. "Most people would have walked away, but not you." She looked at him carefully. "He's special, but more than that, he's good. He's gentle." Cale smiled slightly. "He gets that from his mother." Mira's heart softened. "What happened to her?" "She passed," Cale said quietly. "Before Leo was born, she was the only one who understood my vision. She believed Leo could change the galaxy." There was a long pause. "I still believe it," he said. Just then, Leo appeared in the hallway, rubbing his eyes. "Cale," he whispered. Cale stood and opened his arms. Leo ran to him, wrapping his small arms around his father's waist. "You came back." Cale knelt down and held him tightly. "I'll never let you go again." Mira turned away slightly, not wanting to interrupt the moment. But Cale looked up. "You're part of this now," he said. Mira shook her head. "I'm just a waitress." "No," Cale replied firmly. "You're the reason he's alive. The reason." He smiled again. He stood, still holding Leo's hand. "I want to offer you something. A new life. Come with us. Help me protect him. Be part of his world." Mira was stunned. "Why me?" "Because he trusts you," Cale said. "And I do too." The next day, Mira found herself standing in a bright room filled with holoscreens and soft music. Leo played nearby, laughing as the walls responded to his thoughts, changing colors, making images float in the air. Cale showed Mira the systems, his hidden AI, the network that ran the base, and the safe zones he had built across space. "We're preparing for something big," he said. "The syndicate won't stop. They know Leo is alive now." Mira asked, "What's the plan?" Cale looked at her seriously. "We need to expose them. Show the galaxy what they really are. But we can't do it alone." He walked to a control panel and tapped a few buttons. A map of the solar colonies appeared. Red marks flashed across several of them. "They've placed agents everywhere," Cale explained. "If we can get proof, real evidence, we can bring them down." Mira folded her arms. "How?" Kale turned toward her. With your help. You know how people like them think. You've lived among them. They don't see someone like you as a threat. Mira thought for a moment. Then she nodded. For Leo, she said. I'll do it. Kale smiled. Welcome to the team. That night, Mira sat beside Leo as he drew glowing shapes on a tablet. Do you miss the diner? He asked suddenly. A little, she admitted. It was quiet. Simple. He looked at her. Are you scared now? Mira smiled and brushed his hair. A little, but I'm also stronger now, Leo nodded. I'll protect you too. Mira laughed softly. Deal. Far above, on a distant syndicate ship, a woman in a dark suit watched a blinking signal. Leo is alive, she said. That a man beside her asked. Should we move now? She smiled. Not yet. Let them think they're safe. We'll take the boy when the time is right. Mira had never worn a suit like this before. It fit her perfectly, light, strong, and made from flexible nanofabric. Kale called it a shadow suit, built for silent movement and protection from scans. It even adjusted color to match the walls. You look like a spy now, Leo giggled as he watched her from the table. Mira turned and smiled. Do I? Leo nodded. You'll scare the bad people. Mira leaned closer. Only if I have to. Kale entered the room holding a small device. This is your recorder. It captures sound, images, and even energy trails. Just keep it near you. It'll do the rest. Mira took it carefully. Where exactly am I going? Kale brought up a hologram. It showed a large tower on Mars's second colony ring. This is Syndicate Tower 9. They store intel, agent names, and blackmail logs here. You're going to deliver supplies to their food deck. Mira raised an eyebrow. Like I used to? Kale nodded. You're playing yourself a waitress. Again, but this time you'll be recording everything. The next day, Mira stood inside a delivery shuttle, holding 2 containers full of food packs. Her hands were calm, but her heart beat fast. This is just like walking into the diner, she whispered to herself. Just a bigger, scarier one. The ship landed with a soft thud. She stepped out into the bright hallway of Syndicate Tower 9. Guards were everywhere, tall, quiet, and armored. One guard stopped her. Delivery? Yes, she said, lifting the containers. For the executive deck. He scanned the crate, then let her through. Her boots made no sound as she walked the long hallway, pretending to look tired and uninterested. But her eyes caught every camera, every keypad, and every door. When she entered the food deck, she saw a wide hall filled with workers. Most were in uniforms, eating silently. Some looked up, but no one paid her much attention, just like Kale. Said she was invisible here. Mira set down the containers and activated the recorder with a gentle tap. It looked like she was checking the order list, but the device was already scanning the room, copying ID signals and security logs. Then, someone approached her, a man in a silver coat, dark eyes. Scar on his left hand. You're new, he said. Mira forced a smile. First day. Don't worry, I won't spill anything. He didn't laugh. He just studied her face. Name? Mira. He turned and walked away without another word. She didn't relax until he left the room. Back at the base, Kale watched the live feed through a secret line. Good, he whispered. She's inside. Sella stood beside him. Do you think she'd get out safely? Kale didn't answer right away. I think she's braver than she knows. Inside the tower, Mira was almost finished. The recorder had picked up guard codes, hallway patterns, and even audio from a private meeting room nearby. She carefully placed a container on the far table, hiding the recorder chip beneath it. Then something went wrong. Sharp voice came over the speaker system. Security, level 4. Unscheduled scan commencing. Mira froze. All around her, red lights flashed. Everyone stopped eating. A loud pulse swept through the room. One guard looked at Mira. He frowned. What's in your pocket? She panicked but didn't show it. Just a sugar pack, she said, pretending to fumble through her apron. The guard stepped closer. Suddenly, boom! The lights flickered. A tremor shook the floor. Alarms began to ring. Containment breach in sublevel 2. Guards ran toward the lifts. Myra didn't wait. She moved quickly, dropped her tray, and slipped into a side hallway. Cale stood up from his chair. That wasn't us, he said. Something else is happening there. Celis looked confused. You didn't cause the blast? No, Cale said. But someone just gave Mira a way out. We need to track her. Mira raced through the back corridor, her boots hitting metal steps as she climbed up a narrow stairway. The sounds of shouting echoed behind her. She didn't stop until she reached a service hatch. She pushed it open and gasped. A man stood there, dressed in dark clothes, face covered. Come with me if you want to live, he said. She hesitated. Who are you? He pulled off his mask. I'm part of the resistance, he said. We've been watching too. Myra's head spun. Resistance? He nodded. You just gave us everything we need to expose the syndicate. But if you stay, they'll catch you. She didn't have time to argue. They ran together toward a side exit, back at the base. Cale's screen flashed. Unknown transmission detected. Celis looked surprised. Someone's hijacked our feed. Cale tapped the console. The screen showed Mira escaping with the resistance agent. She made it out, Celis said with relief. Cale nodded. But now we have a bigger problem. Hours later, Mira returned to the base. She hugged Leo tightly, whispering, I'm okay, I'm okay. Cale stood quietly, watching her with both pride and concern. You were brilliant, he said. I got lucky, she replied. No, Cale said. You stayed strong. Mira handed him the recorder chip. You're not going to believe what's on this. Cale inserted it into the console. The screen lit up with names, plans, and secrets, conversations, maps, agent locations. And one video of syndicate leaders talking about Project Echo. Something even Cale had never heard of. They're building something, Mira said. Big, dangerous. Cale's face turned serious. This changes everything. That night, Cale stood alone in the control room. He looked out at the stars. He had created technology to protect, not destroy. But now those tools would be needed for battle. Behind him, Mira stepped into the room. Tell me the truth, she said. Do you think we can stop them? Cale turned slowly. With your help? He said, yes, Mira nodded. Her fear was still there, but now it stood beside something stronger. Purposed it far away. In a deep syndicate lab, a masked scientist looked at a glowing screen. She has the boy. She has the man. She has the files. Another voice answered from the shadows. Then, it's time we end this. A cold silence followed. Project Echo will begin. The storm was coming. Outside the hidden base, Mars' red winds blew hard, but inside, the real storm was building plans, decisions, and one final mission that could change everything. Cale stood in front of the main screen, surrounded by Mira, Leo, Celis, and the resistance leaders. Project Echo, he began, is not just a weapon. It's a control system. If they finish it, they can shut down all human technology from water filters to spaceports. Earth, Mars, every colony, nothing will be safe. The room went quiet. Celis added, we have one chance. Before activation, we hit their main server, core, and destroy the heart of Project Echo. Mira looked at Leo, who was holding her hand tightly. And what happens if we fail? Cale met her eyes. Then everything we've built, freedom, safety, truth, will vanish. She nodded slowly. Then we don't fail. The plan: Cale, Mira, Celis, and a small team would sneak into Syndicate Station, Alpha, hidden under the old mining colony of Dr. Inix-4. It was buried deep beneath layers of rock and shielded by advanced cloaking fields. But Kale had built the cloaking field years ago, before he escaped the syndicate. He still knew how to break it. "We go silent, stay fast, and hit hard," Kale told the team. "This isn't about war. It's about one moment, one chance." Mira strapped on her shadow suit again. This time, it felt different. This time, she wasn't pretending. The infiltration night on Mars was darker than space. The team moved under the cover of dust storms. Cloaked shuttles flew low and fast, skimming over sharp cliffs and crater edges. When they reached the outer gates, Kale used a tiny pulse device to break the first lock. Inside, syndicate bots and drones moved in precise patterns. But Mira and Celis slipped between shadows, placing scramblers that confused the system. Every second counted. Mira paused near a security panel. Her fingers trembled, but she forced herself to stay calm. "Just like cleaning tables," she whispered. Rerouting the power flow. The door opened silently. Kale gave her a proud nod. They reached the central core chamber. It glowed blue, massive and alive with pulsing code. Around it stood dozens of guards, and a single figure in white armor. General Razik. He was the one Kale once worked under. A master strategist. Cold, brilliant. You never could stay away from your creations. Razik's voice echoed as he stepped forward. Kale didn't flinch. "You turned them into chains. And you gave them to a waitress," Razik replied, eyes landing on Mira. Mira stepped forward without fear. "I may be a waitress, but I care more about people than power." Razik raised an eyebrow. "Care won't stop a blast." "No," Mira said. "But love might." The syndicate guards attacked. Celis and the resistance fighters engaged them with stun blasts and energy shields. Kale rushed toward the control panels, trying to overload the main system. Mira moved through the chaos, her eyes locked on the core. If she could reach it, she could plant the virus chip, the one Kale built with his own hands. Leo's face flashed in her mind. She couldn't fail. Razik blocked her path. "You should have stayed small," he growled. Myra didn't back down. "And you should have listened to your heart." He lunged, but she was faster. Years of balancing trays and dodging customers had made her quick. She ducked, rolled, and slammed the chip into the access port. "Too late," she said. The lights flickered. The core trembled. Razik screamed. "Nitrogen monoxide." The station shook violently. Sparks flew from the walls. Kale shouted, "It's overloading. We have seconds." The team raced back to the shuttle tunnels. Mira turned back once, just for a moment, and saw the core explode. In a wave of white light, the syndicate's control tower was gone. 1 week later, Mars was quieter now. In the city square, people walked freely. Screens no longer showed syndicate symbols. Children played again. Water systems flowed without rations. Kale, Mira, and Leo stood on a small platform as Celis gave a speech to the gathered crowd. "We were saved by those who didn't wear armor or carry titles," she said, "but by people who chose to do the right thing." She looked at Mira, even when no one was watching. The crowd clapped. Leo smiled proudly. Later, as the sun dipped low, Kale stood alone near a quiet hill. Mira joined him, holding 2 cups of warm tea. "I used to think I didn't belong in this kind of world," she said softly. Kale looked at her. "And now?" She smiled. "Now I know. Even a poor waitress can make a rich future." He took a sip. "You changed everything." Mira looked at the sky, where stars blinked faintly. "No," she whispered. "Leo did. The day he walked into that diner, he gave me a reason." Kale nodded. "And he gave me one too." That night, as Leo slept peacefully between his 2 protectors, a single star blinked brighter than the rest. It wasn't just the end of a fight. It was the beginning of hope.